This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Oh, yeah, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to Sober Mind, Grown Folk Conversations. Patrick, my dear friend. Judith, my lovely wife.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday
Happy
indeed.
Saturday.
Okay. Patrick, failure on your part.
Oh, forgot to hit
I
the
need
button.
to relinquish my title as producer.
Yeah,
That never was.
that's all right. I think every podcast that I upload, it's there's always this weird recording at the beginning of us jumping in, like just with some weird nonsensical shit.
They'll catch on eventually.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here in a sec. We'll just go ahead and fade that out. We'll get some music going. Babe, I'm going to play Neon. I think this is one of your favorites. Mm-hmm. Harris Heller, Stream Beats. Okay, let's just kick it off. Today we're going to discuss...
Well, we're jumping back into a previous topic.
yes, ADHD.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Odie, first... Oh, shit.
Daylight savings is tomorrow for us.
Ugh.
We get the extra hour sleep before the marathon, so.
Yeah. Hold on.
I wish they would just stop that. Just stop, really.
Odie.
We don't need to adjust clocks. I mean, we really don't.
Yeah, Odie, let me make a correction real quick. You jumped right in on my number 4 pet peeve.
Oh, I see it now. Oh, boy.
You too, Patrick. You said it. It's daylight saving time. We are going to be saving time. It's not savings. You don't
like
go to
Lego.
the store and I'm like, I'm going to go to Costco and I'm going to be savings some money.
So I've had this debate in English. It's not nomenclature, but I don't know what you'd call that.
Colloquialisms.
Yeah. So the same thing can be said, hey, did you get your hair cut? And if you ever have Canadian friends or friends to the north, they go, oh, what? You only get one haircut?
Why do Canadians talk like that?
Well, that's my awful Canadian impression. But, they say, hey, you got your hairs cut, eh?
Yeah.
Hairs as in multiple hairs.
All right.
Well, okay, so this brings up the Lego. Multiple Lego is not Legos. It's still Lego.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the Swedish pronunciation, period.
Well, then I just say, it's always like, Flynn, pick up your Legos. After I step on one, it's all of them.
All right. Later on, when I talk to Flynn, I'm going
They're
to
all
make sure
included.
I'm going to make sure to correct Flynn because I know that'll stick with
Oh,
him.
yeah. He'll be like, I can't pick up my Legos, Dad. It's like, I can pick up my Lego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
You're welcome in advance. Okay, let's kick it off. I'm a little out of sorts. Good morning, Michelle. I had a minor psychological break in the last 2 days. So I had a depressive episode.
A little meltdown.
Yeah. A little bit more than little, I guess. But we'll talk about it. And we'll start first by saying, let's go through our gratitude. And I got to be honest, I thought about this morning. I don't have any gratitude right now. I just don't. I'm just happy to sort of be on the tail end of depression. So
That's a gratitude right there.
all right, fair enough.
This too shall pass. Gratitude is, we remember so we forget, and we forget so we can remember.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I'm not going to be able to talk through that one, but thank you for sharing, John.
I am grateful that you're on the tail end of it. I'm grateful that you're starting to come back to me and to everybody. And I'm grateful that we're not drunk going through this.
Yeah, that'd be a thing.
That would be a huge thing. That would take this and just blow it up.
Yeah.
Exacerbate it.
For sure.
Yeah. Always, we always thought that to make things better, or at least alleviate, but it always, at the end of the day, just made things worse. I was thinking about that. My gratitude is actually fairly superficial and shallow for me today, but like, don't want to touch a raw nerve, but the financial aspect, not saying that I'm like rolling in the money after not drinking, but the fact that it's not complicating finances is I'm very thankful for that. And I was thinking, like, in my earlier years in my young professional career, like looking back when I'd get that paycheck, the calculus even like permeated over there. I can spend this much money on booze and then I can buy groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you always were able to, like, man, looking back, I could manifest, like $20 or $30 for the bar and knew exactly who had the 75-cent pints and who had all the deals. And so you could manifest, I was a wizard with that stuff, just trying to stretch my drunk,
it's
but
amazing how much money you save when you stop drinking.
right. But like, it's like, well, this place at this time starts serving and it's 75 cents
happy hour,
and I can make $10. I can get wasted on $10. But the next day when it would come to be like, do you want to take a coupon to the grocery store for these, you could save a couple extra bucks. Like, it's groceries, like,
Yeah.
who needs groceries? Right?
I don't need to expand my food. I need to expand my booze.
Right. It was just so intriguing to me. And now that calculus is out, it affords other opportunities, like being able to help friends, or, if something pops up, it's just...
You have emergency funds now.
Yeah.
And they're not beer emergency funds.
Beer. Yeah, beer always found a way to... Alcohol always found a way to escalate itself into emergency funds. And then now that you even say that, like, think about it, like, every time I would either get a promotion or something good would happen, let's go out and celebrate.
Oh, yeah,
And
we
then
get a bottle of Veuve Clicquot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
champagne.
expensive champagne.
Oh,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
you're like, the day before, you're literally like either on the ropes or like, this is so tough, and then you get like the promotion or the bonus or the nice windfall, and that very mindset that you're like, I am counting my pennies, I'm just doing what I can, just trying to be as efficient, and then all of a sudden it's just like all out the window.
Yeah, let's go party.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we used to do some wild calculus with money. It became the beer was the priority of how that would work out. It'd be like, all right, so we're down to this. Payday is this day. Oh my God, you should have seen us when the pandemic hit and they're starting to close stores and shit. And they had limits on stuff. So we would go to Casey's, Quick Trip. We would go in one morning, like we came home with 10 cases of beer, 30 packs of beer.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what was going on. So we put that all in our, our keezer with the rest of the kegs and everything. That was our priority. We were freaking out. Like, how are we going to make sure, are there going to be limits? Like, how do we work around stuff?
Yeah.
It's like beer.
We wanted to minimize our exposure too, so my wife would go to Costco, and for those that don't have Costco's, these are like large, how would you say it, like
wholesale
warehouses. If you want to buy Kool-Aid, you don't buy little Kool-Aid packets. You buy a 55
barrel.
Yeah, 55-gallon drum of it, right?
Yeah.
You need toilet paper? Yeah, here's a pallet of toilet paper. There you go. Yeah, so, you wanted to limit exposure, so we would go, and Costco was one of the places that had the better standards for, just when everything was coming out for masking and just not allowing, if it was like one person in type of thing, you were not like bringing whole families in.
Yeah, they were restricting amount of people that were in.
Anyway, yeah, and doing the head counts on that. So we're like, all right, we'll go every 2 weeks because it lined up with the amount of booze that we were getting. And so not only did we want to not run out, we correlated the amount to buy with. So like you'd come home with several handles. Like we had to have a handle of whiskey, a handle of vodka, a handle of tequila.
Yeah.
And then I would get my, babe, I got such a good deal on the IPA assortment pack. And it's like, you know how it is. It's like you don't buy a 12er, you buy their like whole catalog. Like in the
a case of wine.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones. A bunch of people did some weird ass prioritization on that.
Yeah, so you'd get back from a Costco run, and then like volume wise, it's maybe like a third of your groceries, but like dollar wise, that's like over half of your
bill.
Yeah.
That was the pandemic for me.
Yep.
But that was part of the turning point though too.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the eye openers for us too.
Did a couple months of that and was just, that pushed my threshold or whatever you like. The pain finally became so much that I had to, look inward to help solve that.
Yeah. Well, good for you for getting through that, Patrick. Yeah. I know we've talked about it before. Just as a reminder, I guess ours too was our tolerance level was just getting out of control. We could drink so much beer and wine, and then our body, so our drunkenness was okay, but our body was just like, what the fuck? I cannot process it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not a brewery. You're just processing it the entire time. Yeah. Just pickling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
hell, our liver was on the corner smoking a cigarette, flipping us off.
Yeah. Right. So yes, let's jump into the ADHD stuff, and I'll kick it off with my discussion of my event in the spirit of keeping it genuine. And hey Don, love you too. Keeping it genuine with what we talk about here and everything. So here's what happened. A couple days ago, we had a pretty impactful financial situation happen, which it's working itself out. It is what it is. But what happened to me was that I woke up the next morning with a beginning of a depressive episode that I haven't had in a long time. I could tell. Mm-hmm. I could tell it was coming on. So then with, the way my mind works is there's all of a sudden a flood of, oh, what if, then this, and then this other thing that's happening. We're in the middle of remodeling our kitchen, and I still have to put the outlet covers back on. So it's just this very loud, the outlet covers. I got to clean off my work area from the back porch. I need to clean out the workshop, all of this stuff. And it's like, well, then just go do it. But my ADHD brain just freezes. And so then now there's a self-esteem issue that crops up. And it's fast forward to, I got back from a run yesterday. A reminder, everyone, Patrick and I are running a half marathon tomorrow. No big deal. We've been training for.
Very proud of you guys, by the way.
Thank you. So I got back from a 5K, and it was just, again, these are bad episodes when I go out for a run and some endorphins are like, you can't touch this. You can't touch my depression. My depression's like, fuck you. Endorphins and dopamine are not going to help right now. So I laid down in bed, and Judy is like, what? Talk to me, please. What's going on? And I really made it a point just to be honest with her, and it kind of scared her, which then made me feel even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I still told you that I want you to
I know.
Keep the lines of communication open.
I know. I'm just telling what happened, babe. There's no nothing about that. Because she said, tell me what's going on. What do you feel? And I said, I'm I'm exhausted about being me sometimes. I'm fucking tired of having to work all the time at being happy and responsible and emotionally available to myself. And you know, I feel like a fraud sometimes. I feel like we talk about our emotions, we work on it, and then little things happen in my life that I can't dissect and compartmentalize and work with. So then with all of that, it just continues to spiral. And I really, emotionally, I just gave up yesterday. And I told Judy, I said, I give up, you know? And I think she took that as, you know, I didn't mean it to come out like that. I'm not suicidal. But when those episodes happen, see, that's it. So there's the depression, there's the anxiety, coupled with the ADHD. The ADHD portion of that makes it really fucking loud. All of that stuff, it can't stop. Like Patrick, when I was telling you this morning about it, I know you were trying to, the drama triangle, you had your cape on and you're trying to solve it and help me out. But you're like, go clean up trash on the highway. It'll make you feel good. I'm just kidding. Patrick was telling me some AA reminders of go do service for others. It'll make you stop thinking about yourself. I get that, but in the heat of the passion of having episodes like that, it's the motivation to do something different is just not there. So
it's hard to pull yourself out of the funk that you're in.
It is really difficult because it's loud.
I want to amend my conversation with you earlier and put on that cape right away. I skipped over the most important step, but I got you, brother. Like, thank you for sharing. And that's all we can do right now. You know, I am so proud of you for just being able to still show up and talk about that and share. That journey from when it comes from inside and it's all a mess and it makes you super scared to like when you can even try and vocalize that with others or even have the trust with others. That feels like an eternity, man. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, it does. It's the effort. It's just bizarre. You know, I was this close just to throw in that fit too of, fuck, I'm not even going to do this show. Just not even tomorrow. I'm just never going to do it again. I'm not doing the run on Sunday. There's this weird defensive mechanism of just break everything and just throw everything away and sabotage everything. I think that's when I thought about it later on, I think that's a control thing of I can't do me. I can't stop the loudness of everything that's going on. So I'm going to start to control things the way I can. And that is just going to be to break things and to sabotage them and to crush them.
Do you think that was a release of anger as well? Anger and frustration because you did not have any control?
Probably. And that's the other thing, babe. It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what happens when stuff like this happens. Luckily, it's not a regular occurrence anymore. This used to happen a lot. Mm-hmm. Patrick, to your point, this used to happen probably after every, 3 or 4 day bender. Mm. But I wouldn't let it get that far. I would just get drunk.
Yeah.
But I re-pickle and go back into stasis.
Yep.
Yeah. But then it just started to hurt my brain, literally. But I don't know. I'll continue to work on this, and that's the other thing. It's I know as I'm writhing in self agony and fucking the pit of woe is me and despair. There's this other guy sitting right there like, what the fuck are you doing? You know better. Get out of this. But but then the pervasive Judy's like, you gotta flood yourself with happy thoughts. And I was like, this isn't gonna work right now because there's zero effort needed to feel as shitty as I do right now. The other thing takes a lot of work, and I can't fucking figure out how to muster that motivation.
So I always said that those feelings are so intoxicating because you feel so valid into it. Because those happy thoughts, like, for whatever reason, when you're in the state of the fuckets, when you try to manifest positivity, they also end up getting contorted into the shooting all over yourself.
Right.
Like, hey, look, I get to wake up and do this. You know, like, I don't have to do the work. I get to do the work. And when I'm in the state of the fuckets, it's like, hey, man, fuck you for showing up like that. Like, I want to fucking burn the world down and smoke a goddamn cigarette while doing it. You know, like, I want to taste that shit in my lungs. And I am so fucking angry right now. Like, I need to feel valid in this. You know, it's like, it's very empowering because it's a very visceral feeling.
Yeah.
And he distorts everything that like touches it, even like when the good tries to show up. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, that's what's so, you know, I think we'll talk about it in our ADHD thing. It's so hard when we're in the moment. Like we have such a powerful ability for empathy and understanding, like either like being into the emotion, but when it's in the bad place,
It's bad.
It fucking sucks.
I know.
Like when I'm not trying to be dramatic on my efforts when I say like I literally want to burn that fucking shit down, and I want to feel that pain in my lungs, fill that shit with black tar all the way to the ground, man. Like that's how angry and visceral I feel that stuff. And
I have a feeling that you were close to that yesterday, where you just wanted to just break everything.
I did. I threw my Apple Watch against the wall. The Apple Watch Ultra is super resilient. It did
you
not,
just created an ad for it.
by design. That thing.
The
was just
wall,
like,
however, is not quite as resilient.
So
I got to be careful with that. All joking aside, I was like, I'm gonna go fucking. I want to punch a tree. It's like I got to do some cage fighting somewhere. There's a level of anger too that pops up when that lack of self-control is there, to where it happens to you, Patrick. It's borderline intoxicating.
Yeah. There's all those chemicals that are flooding your system when you're angry.
I know, and then it turns into another web of where the fuck is this going? I get a lot of military shit that pops up, and a lot of child abuse adventures that pop up, and then that's the ADHD portion of it. I'm glad we're having this chat. It's I sit there and I think, man, if I could stop, where's this coming from? What is this nonsense? And then it's fucking pounding on my self-esteem while I'm feeling bad about myself. And I know all of these things, I know better. And then Judy, bless her heart, she sits down and she's like, what can I do? Do this, do that. It's like, you can't talk. There's no talking about this right now. She feels helpless. And then I left for 15 minutes to go visit a friend real quick, because I had a date with him real quick. Paul Myers, our tattoo guy. Shout out to Paul. And I came back and Judy was upset because she didn't know how to talk to me. So she talked to Dad and told Dad about our situation. And I was frustrated. I was like, I didn't want Dad to know about this situation.
we don't know how to talk to ourselves in that situation sometime.
Yeah. Well, at that moment, I needed somebody to talk to, and he was not there, and he was not receptive, and I could tell that it didn't matter what I said. He was not receptive. He was not open to receiving anything at all. So he went to go visit Paul, and I was just at my wit's end. I didn't know how to help him. I didn't know what was happening. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to talk to somebody. So I went and talked to Dad. Thank you, Dad. And then I told him when we got back that, you know, that's what happened. And of course I said, you know, I know you're probably going to get frustrated, but I needed to talk to somebody. So I think once I told him that I needed to talk to somebody, it kind of helped him understand.
Yeah, I didn't realize till later that I was sitting there eating club crackers with soft cheese and putting them in my mouth sideways while you're trying to have a serious conversation with me. I'm just like, nom, 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 nom. That was a...
What was that? The delayed reaction from the signs of trauma, the 11 things that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. We can go through all these like objective scenarios and be like, oh yeah, and then they still pop up later.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah. Fucking bizarre. Anyway, that's it. I'm doing much better. Patrick asked if this is also maybe an anticipatory reflex to tomorrow's run. I immediately brushed that off. It's like, fuck you, Patrick. You don't know what you're talking about. I've done this.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I just throw enough shit at the wall and something's got to stick.
I was like,
you're hoping something sticks. Yeah, please, something stick.
I've done like 10 half marathons. You don't know. But then I realized, you know, so let's talk about it. Patrick, you could be right, because this is my first half marathon that I've been sober.
That's true.
And
That's true.
Don't, you know, again, emotions pop up that in the past, I would be in celebration stage right now. Today, I'd be doing a calculus for sure. It'd be a lot of snacking and drinking light beers and, you know, with electrolytes.
We have to have a bottle of red wine and a
Pizza for dinner. That's our ritual. But now it's, I don't know, you're right. Maybe another raw emotion that's rearing its head. Like, hey, guess what? You got to fucking deal with me. And then, like I said, too, Judy, I didn't tell you, but I told Patrick, I read somewhere that I should also be prepared, you know, with the anti-anxiety medication that I was on and the antidepressants and in the beginning, the antipsychotics that, you know, I said, a couple months ago, I'm like, I'm 4 months in, everything's good to go. That's not really, there's no real formula for it. You know, I was on this stuff for 2 years and no one knows the magic number. Your mileage will vary, but you know, what I read was that, sorry to interrupt, is that you can have these little awakenings, you know, 4, 6, 8, 12 months in that just pop up and it's like, hey, a little part of your brain just woke up again, but hey, we need to do some gardening with it. And with the gardening is to get out your shit shovel. And we gotta...
I just see this like image of you going through the house and be like, hey, I didn't know that door is there. Look at that. I think there's a bunch of space where a bunch of cool stuff can go. I can like grow a new garden in there. I could build something in. And you're like, okay. And then you open up the door and then just out come the skeleton.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait, I got to deal with this shit first.
Fuck. Yep.
Yeah, there's 2 points I wanted to bring up. One is that what I was telling Patrick earlier when I was watching the video of Dr. Gabor Mate, and he said that you cannot separate mind from body. So all those visceral reactions that you're having are old stuff that, you know, you've had in your brain and it manifests through the body. So that's how it comes out. And 2, we can't, even being sober, we're not going to have happy days for the rest of our lives. We're always gonna walk into a shit show sometime in our life. It's gonna happen. So we have to realize that we are human, and we are gonna have these days to where, you know, it's not gonna be all butterflies and
unicorn farts. But I think the way you dealt with it, even though the first portion of it, I think the way you're handling it is much better than the way you handled it before when we were all drunk. But these are just things that are going to happen in our life, and it's okay to have a shitty day. As long as you don't stay there. It's okay to have a shitty day.
share a story. When I was younger, when I was Flynn's age,
Oh God.
my dad traveled a lot. And, you know, when you're that age, your parent, you know, he was like Zeus to me. Like he big, strong, could lift anything. Like he was my Superman. And, you know, I just remember time being so spare that, you know, like anytime that he was home, I was excited. And I remember one weekend I, you know, woke up early, and of course, like a good ADHD, you know, like you hit it and you want to be elsewhere, right? Like do all the things. Like I just wanted to play with my dad. And I remember running into the bedroom and just like, dad, you know. And, you know, I still have the image seared into my head of him just like standing up out of bed, you know, with the wrath of God, and, you know, just looked at me and then put his hand through the wall, you know, and just wanted nothing to do with me. And, you know, scared the living bejesus out of me. And like, I think that was like I'm not trying to say my trauma's any better or worse than any others, but I think that's part of me where like my childhood, like I've talked about this before, where you have this image of your parent, and reality is that, you know, he's not Superman. He was just tired on his trip too, right? And just wanted his sleep. But at the same time, he's not Superman. He's not Zeus. So I had to, you know, process that grief of losing that identity, right? And that one's like, you know, Star Wars style, like Luke looking at Vader and everything. And so flash forward to like when I'm processing all this stuff, I remember getting sober those first 8 months. Like I can say I was really angry. You know, like getting sober, I was like, I stopped drinking. Where's my weight loss? Where's my better living? Where's all these things? You know, I started shooting all over myself. And one day, you know, and this is a pandemic, so, you know, you try to it's hard with 4 people when you're like just right on top of each other. Right?
Yeah.
You develop some weird codependency items, and it just manifests in a weird way. And I just remember one day my wife, being awesome, you know, decided to do like, she got a bunch of Nerf gun stuff for the kids. And I didn't realize this. And I came up from downstairs when I was working, and it started peppering me, and I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready in the state of mind for it. And first shot hits me in the junk.
Oh.
Got me like really good. And it was just like a reactionary at that point. And I just put my hand through the door at the top of the steps, and I still have that perfect little circle at the top of my steps. You know, I haven't fixed it yet because it's this weird reminder. Like, I feel like that's my scarlet letter. Some days, like, you know, seeing it like brings me shame, but the other is just like
Reminder, maybe.
Yeah, when, you know, in Empire Strikes Back, and Luke is training with Yoda, and he goes into the cave when he's not ready, and he fights Vader, and he knocks his head off, and the mask comes off, and
It's him.
And it, like, that to me is my waking fear. Like, you know, what if I'm fucking my kid up the same way, you know,
I think,
with me? So
I think because you're conscious of it, that you'll be aware of your actions. I think the benefit of this whole thing is that you're aware of it. You're conscious of it. And thank you so much for sharing. That's pretty heavy stuff, man.
Yeah. You know, like downward spiral comparison. I've never gotten physical with anybody in my family whatsoever. You know, like here I am trying to rationalize it, but like that's just me not knowing how to process that shit. And no matter how far along the road I think I come, you know, I'm still the same distance away from the ditch.
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
So,
yeah, me too. I think you probably do the same thing, Patrick, and that, you know, you're always observing yourself, which is for me the exhausting portion. It's like, fuck, man, can I just
be
veg out?
Vigilant all the time.
that's the ADHD. We can't be okay where we're at. We're always needing to be elsewhere, and it even gets meta in our head.
Right.
Like, okay, you're okay in yourself right now, but then you start observing it and you start critiquing the observation, right? And you're just like, even in your state of observation, you can't be fucking okay with being there, right? It's this weird inception of like, okay, I found a place to be okay. All right, we got to get the fuck out of here now too.
Yeah, we have to improve. Yeah, I remember yesterday. I mean, this is just classic. I was standing in the kitchen, and every place I turned, and I was just turning in a circle. I wasn't going anywhere, but every place I turned, I saw something that needed to be done, and I got stuck just turning in a circle over and over again in my kitchen and not doing anything until I finally had to stop myself and pick one direction and just go in that one direction. But it was that paralysis of the ADD or ADHD. I'm not hyperactive, so I call it ADD, but where you're just stuck and you just keep spinning in that circle and everything, and you don't actually go and do anything. You're just looking at everything that's around you that needs to be done. And then
I love, you know, since the topic is the ADHD part due, we dug into a little bit more, and I just found it super interesting that a lot of the studies and everything out are like from a pharmacological aspect, right?
Yeah.
We have this tendency for, you know, you can go through studies like there's only about 20% of adults are properly diagnosed. You know, there's so much more inclination for addictive behaviors. Those on the methylphenidate substance, you know, may have a predilection towards addiction, but because there's a synergy with alcohol that increases dizziness, like that may push them to a higher addiction rate to methamphetamines, right? And nicotine and other items like that. My point with this is like, it's so interesting that we try to approach it from just pure logic at that point. Like, you know, it's a chemical imbalance. And somebody rightly put, like, at its simplest, basically, like, our feel-good stuff, our timing is fucked up on the dopamine stuff. Like, meaning we have a hard time understanding delayed gratification.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So that results in very impulsive natures, a desire to get to the end, right? We don't know how to correlate a lot of that delayed gratification because the dopamine is, or the, you know, the chemical imbalance is fucked up there. And that's what you just say logically at the top is like, oh, hey, yeah, your feel good stuff is, you know, just out of timing. On the inside, my brain doesn't go, well, your timing's messed up, I'm going to do this. You know, they manifest themselves as real demons and monsters,
right,
to drive as motivating factors inside. And that's what I think is so confusing about mental health, is talking about this stuff. Despite the numerous amount of studies and everything, do you know what the best way to combat the rate of addiction for people with ADHD is?
I don't.
Just earlier analysis or earlier diagnosis.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just knowing what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think another thing that helps is to not look at yourself as broken or damaged goods. because I mean, it's very easy to go down that path of I'm broken, I'm damaged, there's something wrong with me because this is affecting me more than somebody else, or I don't act like somebody else, and that is so not true. You're just a different person. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the way you deal with things.
Yeah. Did you know I think it was a study done by the Royal Air Force. It was a couple decades ago when they were designing a futuristic cockpit, and they took all these measurements of all the people in their armed forces and everything to make the controls within a certain reach and the seat set a certain way. And so they're just like, yeah, data. And they make this thing, and it's supposed to, work for the most average.
One size fits all.
But the problem was, for the majority of the people, like the little nuance of all that stuff reaching and the comfortability was not there. And so it was like one of the biggest failures. The point is, like, when we say neurodivergence and neurotypical, like this is personal. I am not a doctor. I don't think there is a neurotypical, meaning it's a set of averages of, what certain behaviors spread across a bunch of people. Neurodivergence is just our individualization of like experiencing the world. And it comes with goods and bads. And you know what I always say? It's neither good nor bad. We ascribe good or bad to these things. It's just how we fucking just deal with the world. Our delayed gratification, messed up chemical thing, gives us a lot of gifts too. But it comes with a lot of like other shit that we get to work through on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
By the way, I got to break in. Odie says the force is with you.
The overthinking portion, which again, I know I've said it a couple times. I don't mean to speak in circles. That's the loudness that happens in my head. I like your analogy of the cockpit thing. Sometimes I have to remind myself when I'm in the throes of overthinking and despair is, back to one of the first NASA flights. The United States spent like $1.7 million on trying to figure out that reverse flow ink pen that could write in gravity. And the Russians are like, we just use a pencil.
Yep.
I bet some scientist was like, yeah, we really overthought that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's tons of great stories, like that. One of my other favorite ones is this consultant was hired for this packaging company, and they came in, and this company has a big process where, their widgets gets made, and it goes on all these conveyor belts, and then goes through these machines and gets packaged and gets sent through some other machines. And, they're like, we need you to come in and design a system. Like, we have a problem where we send out packages that are empty. And we need you to design a way to like reduce that. And of course, where everybody's like doing their like mechanical engineering, they're like, all right, we're going to do our inputs and our outputs and our flows and measure this. And then like, we're going to optimize it and make it more efficient. And so the engineer and the team go through and they find the point in the process where like kind of let the errors start to appear. And so they're like, all right, we're going to introduce this new machine. And what it does is like when the package comes through with the widget, after it's been put in there, it'll weigh it to make sure that it's in there. And then it gets like a stamp of approval, and then it moves on to the next process. But if it's not in there, we'll just go ahead and stop the machine. And so somebody can over it and correct it. So that way no packages go out. And like they implement this thing, it's like hundreds of millions of dollars to like overhaul their like entire workflow. And like, apparently it starts working and their numbers go up, and he's like, all right. And a couple months later they check in and it's still just like humming. So he's like super proud of it. And he's like, yeah, this, it was implemented well. Like we came up with a plan. And he goes to the floor and he starts talking to the guy that's like running that part of the machine. And he's like, hey man, I've been here for a couple hours and I haven't seen the machine stop or anything. He's like, what's going on? He's like, and the guy running the machine's like, well, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, I designed it to stop, to weigh and measure all this stuff. And they walk over there. And the dude had set up a fan on the conveyor belt. He's like, well, what's the fan on the conveyor belt for? It's just randomly out there. And he's like, yeah, when the guy running the machine goes, yeah, when the empty box passes by, it just knocks it off. So that way it doesn't stop the entire process and keeps everything from going out.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those like, brr. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like the low-tech solution.
Yeah.
Like that's a long story and it's another variant of that. But like, that's very much ourselves. Like sometimes we like to fucking overcomplicate so much shit.
Overanalyzation.
When the body is stressed out, maybe anticipatory, maybe not being able to control certain thing, it's not going to sit you down, John, and go like, John, I think I got some real concern about the events that are unfolding. It goes, I don't know what to fucking do. I'm going to dump all these like chemicals in your brain, and this part is going to get super loud for a little bit because I don't have any other way to tell you how I'm fucking freaking out, man. Like if we're having that much hard time like articulating these things, your body that doesn't have a voice, he's gonna make some weird fucking shit happen. Hey, that knee that's been bummed for like the last like 30 years? Yeah, you're gonna get like this weird feeling in it right now, or you're like,
yeah.
And then it's just gonna give out on you. It's not gonna work anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just, you know what? And you're not paying attention, so I'm gonna mess with everything. I'm gonna mess with the plumbing. I'm gonna mess. It's just that one tenant. He's like, I'm just gonna make so much fucking noise that he's got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Squeaky wheel.
Yeah. It hurts though. It's painful.
Yeah, he knows where to get you. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do we do? How do we start to work on a little bit of ADHD solution for us? So there's no simple answer to that. So I'd like us to think about it. Maybe we'll end up having an ADHD part 3, but some of the way these things manifest for me is in my personal relationship with my wife. Especially, she has full-on conversations with me to where I'm like, She's like, did you hear what I said? I'm like,
I said.
I'm 100%.
You hit me right here.
I'm 100% paying attention. But my brain is not. I am.
No.
My brain is not. She's like, I told you about that. I'm like, you did not. You did not. She had a full-on conversation with me. That doesn't happen a whole heck of a lot, but I'm aware of it. I have to stop. And then yes, Judy, now have a conversation with me. But then while she's doing that, I'm having observational expansions where I'm like, what? Why is she talking so slow? I could be cleaning up the workshop while this is happening. Yes, babe, that sounds good. Do you know what I just said? No, I do not. So what can we do? What can we do to work on that?
I can only speak personally, but for me, I have to consciously focus on what's being told to me instead of focusing on a little piece of hair that's out of place or, something that's otherwise distracting me at that time. But it's a conscious effort to focus all the time.
Yeah, yours is a transient.
I'm a daydreamer.
Yeah,
Dave. I'm a full-on daydreamer.
This is not pointing fingers. This is not what this conversation is about, y'all. This is us talking about some of the shortcomings that we have, and it's just naturally how we are, but how we need or would like to deal with them. Because to your point, yours is it's a transient deficit disorder in that, babe, you're going to Hy-Vee? Yes. Please pick this up. Got it. You're like, yes, 100%.
Once I walk out the door, it's gone.
Like, Judy, I need you to make sure this happens. You get back. Did you? Nah, I forgot. When? God damn it. When did you forget? Like, at what stage of this conversation?
Probably about 2 seconds after you told me. That's my brain was on something else. And when you told me, I said, got it. And Nope.
And again, this is not some holier than thou conversation, because mine has different aspects of that too. But
Lisa has got a good suggestion. A good tool is reflective listening. So this does two things, and those unfamiliar with reflective listening is, hey, John, I need you to go pick this up at the store. And if you tell that to me, a good example of reflective listening is like saying it out loud, saying, I am going to the store to pick up butter. So this does two things. There's a technique in I think the Japanese train engineers do this. They point and look, doors are shut, person unloading, and they look and point and they say it. This helps the ADHD brain, because taking energy to process, reflect back, and manifest it physically, you have to see it through. In our brains, how much stuff just gets lost in the chatter. Mm-hmm. Hey, babe, you're going to the store to pick up the stuff. Yeah, and you don't even know what's going on.
It does help to
it
repeat.
Helps. So it's just repeating. And then it's also, in reflective listening, if somebody says a statement, asking a question back on the last sentence that has been said. And this is not just for the speaker to feel validated. For the listener, this goes into for me, a technique is transition time. And I've talked about this before. If I'm not listening, it sucks sometimes to be like, you always have to assume positive intent with your spouse or the ones close to you. I'm not ready to hear this right now. But then, and if I say like, give me some time, then I have to hold myself accountable to be like 15 minutes later when I am in a state to follow back up. Mm-hmm. So that kind of sucks in itself. Reflective listening is a tool to help that transition. If I am not in that state now, being able to reiterate the questions back a couple times will help me transition into the state of being ready. And then also assuming positive intent. I caught myself a couple times this week when we might have an emergency situation come up where we might have to travel. And we've been talking through a couple scenarios, and I was talking with my brother about who would watch the dogs, and he's like, hey man, are you still needing that? And I was like, oh no, I think this is getting pushed out. And it was in a group chat, and down comes the stairs comes my wife. She's like, I don't think we didn't make a hard decision on this yet. And I was like, well, we just talked about, and then immediately I caught myself in the tone. I was like, all right, this was my error. I didn't hear something correctly, and I interpreted it, she's obviously not on the same page with me. And so it sucked that I had to apologize to my brother and be like, my foot tastes really chewy right now. Give me some time to process this. We don't have an answer for you. And then I also had to be like, I apologize for not hearing it. This is where part of the conversation I heard, and, you had to talk through where we picked up and where reflective listening might come in. You're not going to nail it. You're not going to be immediately like, all right, Judy just asked me to go to the store, so I'm going to go. Judy, I am going to the store for Rice Krispie treats. Right. It's not going to be that scripted. Gentle reminders, assume positive intent. And the other one for me for these are, we talked about habits, and I talked about how anger is often my shepherd of other emotions coming up. Mm-hmm. Training yourself to when he shows up. I've painted the picture of him, what he looks like in my head, like the little angry, gangly, bitter as all hell, guy that shows up and likes to wreck fucking shit. Whenever you feel that presence come, that should come with a oh, hey, something's up. To give you the cue for it's either take the observer, let's take the reflective listening. It should be an automatic trigger to not dissociate, from the anger.
No, but to step back for a minute.
To step back and see where it is, because that's the body pulling all the levers.
Yeah.
Being like, there's fucking something wrong here. And instead of just like, all right, let's go along this ride. I want to fucking feel angry. Just being like, okay, let's feel angry, but what are we angry about? Or like,
Where's this anger coming from?
Something that I tell my son, they work on this in school too, is like, I can be angry and safe. Right? I can do X even though I don't feel like it. Meaning like I can validate that feeling and not be toxic to my relationships around it.
I like that. I think what happens with me, you're absolutely right, Patrick. And thank you, both of you, for these are great conversations. I feel like a lot of it's directed towards me today to help me, and I'm fine with that.
Don't worry. Up here doesn't give a shit about anybody else. It's speaking loud enough. You know, I'm worrying about my own shit too.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal.
Yeah, don't take it personally, man.
Yeah. What happens with that is it's the speed of the derailment. I feel like I'd be in a much better position all of my life to handle anxious situations and depressive situations if the ADHD wasn't there. Because the moment I start to think about, okay, we have this financial situation, we're gonna fucking just figure it out. We've got strategies. It's not that big of a deal. But then there's just the other, the hey motherfucker, this guy up on the hill, he's like, I'm gonna make it a huge deal. And it's like, I don't want it to be a huge deal. He's like, here comes the fucking meatball of pain. And he's getting ready to push it off. And I could fend that off, like, stop. Don't push the meatball of despair on me. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's this, what about this other thing? You haven't even dealt with that. This thing I was telling you about.
Knife. Yeah, he's going to bring it all in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what about that thing that happens? Oh, also, by the way, you said that you were going to fucking put the outlet covers into the remodeled kitchen. You didn't do that. You didn't clean up the fucking cutting area. It's all so dusty back there now. Look what you've done. I think the dogs are trying. What about the workshop? You said you would never let it get dirty. Now, while I'm fucking like deflecting all these shit, the meatball of pain got pushed down.
Surprise, cockbag.
Gotcha. Motherfucker. Now you got that mess. And it's like, now it's all there. And I'm just like, it's the name of the show, Meatball of Pain.
That's a good one.
I just said
you should title the VOD that.
So all joking aside, it's like
Meatball of pain.
I started to couple onto that little issue, and it was gonna be okay because what's my passion, my daily driver is I want to be happy, but something is derailing it. And then it's me just derailing the derailment of the progress.
Yep.
Then it's a self-esteem issue too. Then it's an imposter syndrome issue. I get back like you fucking talk about this stuff all the time. Like, well, you think you're some kind of fucking expert, and you have a podcast where you fucking, how dare you try to fucking mental health? Fuck you. People shouldn't even listen to your ass, and it's hurtful that I'm doing that to myself.
I have to ask a question, and if this is out of bounds, just let me know. Did you ever do swim qual in the Army?
Yeah.
Explain. I don't know.
So there's certain qualifications for training that you do aquatically. And I'm going to say this like super, like it's a proficiency, like, moving in the water, doing combat in the water, doing CQC in the water.
It's controlled death and drowning.
Thank you you are right on the money. And so I have not gone through this, so I'm speaking out of my ass, but it's a very traumatic experience.
Very.
Because it is essentially that, like, you basically, it's controlled to the point where, like,
they want you to drown a little bit.
They want you to drown a little bit. and you go through close quarters combat. But here's the thing. Why do they do that? Because I can coach you, and I can paint the picture of the water spreading into your lungs as you try and gasp for air at that, and I can tell you what techniques to do, and I can paint you a manual. The brain does not give a fuck. It does not know what's happening until you put yourself in that situation. And I wanted to be like, this is like one of the most inhumane things about it, but like, you can't teach that. You have to
Experience it.
Same with our I'm getting better. Doesn't mean that asshole's not going to show up and be like, hey, yeah, nice show. Way to go. You're a dick. You know, like they're going to show up, and the stronger tools that you get, they may not show up as frequently, but when they do, they're going to like, hey, I know the past couple of attempts you've swatted away, but I got a big fucking meatball at the top of this hill now.
Right.
And this one's getting through.
Right.
You think you could swim and tread water and fine? All right, now we're going to do one where we're doing close quarters combat and somebody's pulling you under and you really don't have a choice. That's how they do it. They escalate the amount of engagement.
Right.
So too is this guy, and that's their job, is to like, all right, I'm trying to let you know there's something fucking wrong, and I'm pulling all the levers to like make you panic. You've done well enough to like manage the ones before, and you're processing it, but it's not having the same goddamn effect. So you know what? Time to pull the big fucking button, or pull the big fucking lever this time. I'm gonna drown your ass. I mean, everybody. From
Patrick,
from what I hear in the armed forces, everybody's got that instructor.
Why do I feel like I want to duck and cover right now?
Everybody's got that instructor. Everybody's going to be, my friend said, like, look, their job is to break you down.
Oh, yeah.
And to retrain you into machines for very good reason, to make a lot of that stuff instinctual. And when you got the swim qual, they're like, this is the point, like, if there's any residual left in you of like, damn the man, or they're not going to beat me. Like, this is the one that's going to be the final break.
Yeah. Drowning does something amazing to your pussness. If that's a word.
So what do you get out of this? What is the outcome out of this?
The outcome is like, I hate to say it like this, because it's why don't you just rub some dirt in it? Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But it is to that experience, like, you have to understand it to go through it.
Yeah.
You have to go through it to understand it, both ways. Same with this pain that we got right now. In order to process those emotions that are buried in the samskaras that we hold on to, the more work you do, they will show up when you are ready to deal with them.
I think you were you were ready to deal with it. You didn't want to deal with it, but mentally, I think you were ready to deal with something like
First sober half marathon. You've been doing a lot of output lately. You remodeled this space, and I couldn't even believe how long. And you taking that same velocity and remodeling the kitchen, right? You've had a major job change, and you, among other things going on.
I think this was just the tipping point. This bump in the road was a big enough bump to trip you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel
take
better.
it,
You
breathe
feel
it.
better?
No, like, think about it, John. Like, any other point in your life, any other point, you would be drunk or in some other destructive behavior right now.
Right.
In the throes of it.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
And now how uncomfortable is it? Like, I get to sit in the chairs with my friends, and I get to talk into the microphone like, here's my recipe for my sweaty balls. Why don't you put my sweaty balls in your mouth? The SNL skit. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, I get to talk it out. And when that guy though, like when I'm saying like, he's like, what happened to my burning the fucking world down? What about like tasting that smoke in my lungs, you know? And you're like, oh, I think we're just going to talk about it a little bit. Give yourself a lot of credit. I'm not going to do like, give yourself some credit, John. John, you grew. You are standing tall, and I am so proud of you. Like from the bottom of my heart. Like that is some serious deep stuff to like work through or even just hold and experience. And the fact that you're recognizing it and talking about it and wanted to still do this today, like you're a hero, you know. And then it's these small wins and glimpses of, you know, progression and enlightenment that we get. And I'm very thankful that, you know, I'm along for the ride. You know, I get to be a viewer of this, and, you know, likewise, when my time is ready, like I hope I could, you know, do the same.
Sorry. Lisa Robertson said, I'm going to write a Dr. Seuss book about meatball pain.
Yes.
Meatball of pain.
Oh my gosh.
When life gives you a meatball of pain, make spaghetti.
There you go. Well, thank you, Patrick. That means a lot. And thank you, Judy, for supporting me and just being patient with me. I feel really good.
Good.
Sorry, I feel good. I could always feel a little bit better, but it's given me a lot to think about. Patrick, I'm really excited about our run tomorrow. Let me get this straight, though. You called me a chatty Cathy before. Am I not to talk to you on this run?
There will be periods
You
when
don't
I
have
need
to
to say,
answer.
like, I need my transition space. Like, there are times for me when I'm doing those, like, where
working through the demons.
where I get really introspective. And for me, like, there are periods there where, like, I really try to hold on to breath, or, like, at least think I do, you know, where I try to get closer to a meditative state about it. And that's where my attention goes. And sometimes that's, but for me, you know, like it's kind of bizarre to be like, here's this endurance test that pushes the limits of your body, but hey, let's make sure that we can just, you know, like, hey, what type of dressing are you going to get on your, you know, like, are you going to choose which barbecue sauce are you going to get? And it's like,
That's how
I'm testing the limits of my body right now.
That's how I deal.
But besides,
it's
the
like you're
mesquites where I
running and
wanna
there's
be.
this, it's like you're running and there's this little woodpecker just pecking on your head.
So there, and then it's an ebb and flow too. It was also partly that morning too. I remember back to it, like, you know, there are some mornings when I get out and exercise when or when you're in the middle of the task, when you just want to fucking get out. And instead of burning stuff down, I found ways to channel it. Like I want to, when I want that to feel the burn inside my lungs, you know, sometimes doing that via exercise is good, and I want to like enjoy that.
Yeah.
Right. That's the moment that I want to be in.
All right.
But it's going to depend. I think I'm going to be excited too. I'm going to be a chatty Cathy as well. I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to be like, you know, I'm sure at some point tomorrow I'll be like, why didn't we go pick up our packets on Friday? Are we sure we're supposed to be here? You know, are we doing this right? Like, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. And then I'm going to get out and run, and I'm going to run faster than I'd want to. And I'm just
you always start out running faster than you want to.
No,
Are you going to keep them in
Yeah.
check?
It's the beauty of look. I've never had anyone to do these long runs with, because me, you, and Sarah were always separate. Sarah just
That's true.
I'm excited because it's a new experience that I get to go through with my friend.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
think you guys are going to have a really good time.
Don't worry. Seriously, the packet pickup in our first couple, we're like, we got to get there. We drive all the way out. All it is so they get you to the shoe store to buy more shit. Then we realized, what are we killing ourselves for? We just fucking get there half hour early, pin on.
I am concerned about the hoodie, though. Do they give you the hoodie there? And I'm going to have to be like, oh, I'm going to have to take this back to the car. And
Yes.
Okay.
You don't want to be that dork that wears it on the You don't get to wear that shit
You don't
until
wear
you
the band
Right.
T-shirt to the concert. Don't
Right.
be that guy.
No.
Right. Okay. We are going to wrap this one up. Okay, so I'm super excited, and we'll talk about this after the show. This is news to you, but we may have a special guest soon.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Maybe like a reoccurring, perhaps.
Who knows?
All right.
Who knows?
I'm very
But
excited.
We're just very pumped about the participation that we get on a regular basis. So thank you for everybody joining in the chat and viewing.
Thank you very much.
You know, this share often gets personal, but it is only until we reflect on our individual experiences that we realize that we're not alone, and being able to share that amongst friends is important. And so we invite all to come. If you got something bothering you, you got a topic you want to discuss, drop the topic in. Feel free to join in on the Podbean once we get it working.
Yeah.
It's working.
And subscribe, please. Log into YouTube and hit that subscribe button.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, everybody. So we have failed. Odie, thank you for making another episode. Good luck with the running tomorrow. May the force be with you always. What happened to
I love it
poor
when
pillow?
I love it. I love it when Spock says that in Lord of the Rings.
I got Dad with that the other day because they were watching one Star Wars on Disney. One of them, and I'm like, "Is this the one with the Klingons?" And Dad's like, "What?" I'm like, Jesus. Yeah. So thank you for the support. We hit 500 subscribers after last weekend's show, and then just mystically today we're at 512. So we're growing. We're super happy about the.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Yes, love it. I think that. All right.
That was Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Odie's asking about the pillow. You know what? I didn't let it beat me today. It's under the chair to start with.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I'm not going to roll Dad's outro because we're going to change it. So,
Be kind to yourself.
yeah, be patient with
Be
yourself.
patient with yourself.
Don't
You
be
are
like
loved.
me. Don't get crushed by the fucking meatball of pain. Find someone to talk to when this stuff happens. I know easier said than
Yes.
done.
It's very hard, but we encourage you to talk to someone
Yeah.
when you're in there.
Okay, so we did fail. We're always supposed to have queued up our next discussion. I don't know what it is for next Saturday.
I'm gonna be doing some research, so we'll thumbnail it.
After we wrap this one up, we need to talk about what Patrick's got cooking so we could see, and then we'll figure it out from there. But anyway, tune in next Saturday for another amazing show. And from the cave, from the Sober Mind studio down in the basement, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.